Hi, my name is Eddie, and I'm here with the Talon, and we are here doing Talon Talks, Grammys edition. So I'm joined by,
Hi, I'm Pia. I'm the president of the Talon.
Hi, I'm Mia. I'm one of our writers.
and we had a Grammys podcast a few weeks ago actually, right before the Grammy performance in 2024. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out using our links with the Talon Talks. But today we're going to go over the outcome of those winners. And in our predictions, I felt like some we knew were gonna win, but then there was others that we were.
I chuckled a little because when we first talked about Record of the Year, we voted for everyone except Flowers by Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty wild because we were so sure. I mean, like I was so sure that Olivia was gonna win something,
Mhm.
um, but nothing. That's crazy. Um, what about you, Mia?
I was surprised. I thought that Record of the Year had a lot of other strong contenders. Like What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish, I thought was a pretty good one, or a pretty good nomination. But Vampire by Olivia Rodrigo, Kill Bill, you hear that everywhere still,
Hmm.
even since it's lost some of its momentum. But Flowers by Miley Cyrus, I just was. She's a good artist. This Grammy was definitely well deserved, but it was just for this song, I don't know.
Right, yeah. Out of all those songs she's released up until this point, like this was the one. But maybe that's also saying that, they haven't recognized her in that way, and it's like give Miley the credit. I mean,
Mhm.
um, the backstory, I guess, behind Flowers, makes sense. Um, but it just seems like a song you're gonna forget in a year, or a song you just wish you won't hear again in the supermarket or something like that. So that's kind of off-putting.
Mhm.
But moving on, let's go to album of the year. Actually, you know what? I do want to save these for the end. I'll save album of the year and song of the year for the end. Um, let's go to best new artist. Victoria Monet won best new artist. I was genuinely surprised it wasn't Jelly Roll. I felt like he had a strong. I'm just kidding. I wasn't surprised it wasn't Jelly Roll. I did think Ice Spice deserved it or Fred again. But Victoria Monet is not a bad choice. What do you guys think?
I thought Gracie Abrams had a pretty good shot too. Last
Hmm.
podcast I mentioned Noah Khan. I love
Yeah.
Noah Khan. I was honestly just some of the collabs he's done with Post Malone and Hosier. He's just really been blowing up. But him and Gracie Abrams, I thought, and Ice Spice, I thought were a little bit. Their more of their music was just a little bit more popular and out there.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas Victoria Monet, all I really hear about is that one song she put out.
Yeah. I do agree. What about you, Pia?
I do say it's well deserved, especially with how much work and all the albums that Victoria Monet has put out the past few years. Um, but yeah, I am surprised that Ice Spice did not win. She's had a huge year.
Hmm.
Um, and I talked about this last time, but Sabrina Carpenter not being nominated, I am still hurt by that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I again, Victoria Monet, I respect her and I do think she does put in a lot of hard work and I think her music's great. But as far as originality, I hate to say that, but it isn't compared to the likes of Noah Khan or Gracie Abrams or again like just the stadium status that Ice Spice had last year. All right.
Mhm.
Best pop solo performance. So again, just why Flowers, Miley Cyrus won out of Paint the Town Red, What Was I Made For, Vampire, and Antihero. Why did that win? Thoughts on this?
Really good question.
I was just gonna say it's I'm crickets over here. I have probably just because it's poppy and earlier, like Eddie, how you mentioned how it's the message behind it. It's the like take your power back and let's go. Like it's like the whole like quote unquote
Yeah.
single ladies anthem and paint the town red. What was I made for? A vampire and anti-hero aren't like that. So maybe it was just more of the message behind it. But I don't know. I don't know. They were all
Yeah,
so good, and that one just kind of seemed like the one that was like, probably not. And then it was like, oh, okay, yeah, that one got it.
yeah. I mean, now that you mention that, I feel like the others, like namely Billie Eilish, Olivia, and Taylor Swift, were those songs are very much about like uncertainty
Hmm.
as to where to go.
Hmm.
And I feel like Paint the Town Red is pretty close to Flowers in the sense of like I'm just gonna do me, like I'm moving on. And it's that anthem. Um, so I am surprised Paint the Town Red didn't win, but maybe it was a little bit of politics because Doja's very outspoken and very brash. And then what she was wearing at the Grammys that night too. I mean, I have nothing against it, but I can see again politics playing into Miley. So,
Hmm.
what about you, Pia?
I will also say, I do love Doja, and this song was very good. Out of all of it from the Scarlet album, I did like this one. Um, I feel like she didn't win because she is trying to move into like a strictly rap slash hip hop scene, and that's what she wants to be viewed as.
Hmm.
Whereas, yeah, whereas, um, with Miley Cyrus, that's I feel like the epitome of pop, but also not because I love Taylor, but also because I love Taylor. I feel like Antihero was a very big contender.
Yes.
Um, Taylor
Hmm.
Swift always like recognized for her albums, but not the songs individually. And I feel like those two kind of, I don't know, wrap up the year that we've had in music. So I don't know.
Yeah, I do agree. I am surprised. Well, I guess Vampire was like the big hit that came out first for the album for
Mhm.
Olivia, but I felt like Getting Back would have been a stronger contender against these tracks because again, that's more anthemy. It goes more in line with Flowers in the sense of how she's feeling.
Hmm.
So I'm always surprised that Vampire is that single. And Pia, do you have any thoughts on that? Like why Vampire would be chosen over um, the other tracks on Guts?
Although Olivia Rodrigo is seen as like the modern day Avril Lavigne, she still wants to be viewed as a songwriter, I feel like, and Vampire really focuses on that.
Mm,
Just her vocals and the piano. That's like the biggest thing and biggest appeal to Olivia, I feel like. But I agree that Getting Back would have had such a better chance against the other tracks and over Vampire on this one.
right. Yeah. Yeah. A Vampire was more avant-garde and like you said, more singer-songwriter.
Hmm.
Um, all right. Let's move on to Best Pop Vocal Album. So Taylor did walk home with something. She did get pop vocal album for Midnights. And it was against Kelly Clarkson, Miley Cyrus, Olivia Rodrigo, and Ed Sheeran. Um, I can't say I'm surprised at her winning this. I think I would have liked to see Guts win. But yeah, not really surprised. What about you two?
Well, I think that Best Pop Vocal Album for Taylor Swift, that seemed like a guaranteed for me because Album of the Year was kind of a toss-up with so many good artists. So I wasn't surprised that she won, but after the outcome of the night, spoilers, I was very surprised.
Got it. Mia?
Um, it really wasn't a surprise for me, honestly. She always usually comes home with some award, so since it wasn't the other one she was nominated for, I was just this one just kind of felt like, yeah, okay, she'll get she didn't get that one, she'll get this one, like what Pia
Yeah,
said.
yeah. At least she's gonna walk home with something. Um,
Mhm.
all right. And then I do have a question for you. Obviously we could talk about Ed Sheeran, Miley Cyrus, Kelly Clarkson. Maybe we should, but I'm gonna focus on Taylor and Olivia because they're uh sort of competitive in the pop atmosphere. Um, who do you think? Um, diversified their sound more this time around with Guts and Midnights? Where did you find like, oh, well, wow, they like really changed their sound? Let's go with Pia.
That's a really good question, actually, because I feel like Guts and Midnights have been their turning point albums for
Hmm.
both artists, where they've kind of played with a different sound. And as for Olivia from Sour, we've seen a lot of the kind of guitars and kind of the pop punk sound, but she really brought that out with Guts, whereas with Taylor Swift, she's been hanging around the folk indie category the past few years. And Midnights is like she's played a lot with synthesizers and um, just worked with Jack Antonoff and all of these people, including Lana Del Rey. So it's
Hmm.
really difficult to see which one has a more different sound.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What about you, Mia?
Yeah, I'm gonna have. I agree with you, Pia, on that. They both change their sound. I'm gonna honestly say that. See, it's tough though because they both change their sound, and Olivia Rodrigo did go the more heavier instrumental way. It just kind of like she took her sound and made it kind of dark and not aggressive, but definitely a little bit more aggressive pop punk
Hmm.
um, vibe to it. Whereas with Midnight and Taylor Swift, this album was different from because she's built being a country artist and a pop artist, then kind of like an indie folk. But even with her, all those other albums, so minus the indie folk, all kind of having a lower kind of pop vibe to it.
Hmm.
Midnight's kind of felt a little bit more. It still felt pop, but it felt a little bit older. She just kind of got the sounds and made them kind of funky. She made her voice sound different. She made her voice have weird effects and auto tune, and
Mm.
it was just really, really. She really creatively went out with this album and tweaked every single bit of it, and you could tell with some of those songs.
Yeah, I do feel like there were a lot more layers with Midnight's in the sounds and the production and her writing. And like you said, yeah, she definitely changed her voice in some like Lavender Haze? Yeah, right. I'm not okay. Lavender Haze.
Yes.
Um, like the chorus of that where it's like very soft spoken, kind of a whisper. And then like the production by Soundwave, who's Kendrick Lamar's producer, and Jack Antonoff was just a nice mix. Um, whereas Olivia Rodrigo, I feel like she's very much in her own element. She's not at that point like Taylor where she can just say like, "Hey, I want to collaborate more. Like, I need to diversify my sound." And with that being said, she did bring more of that punk aspect into that. She leaned more heavily into the rock pop genre. And I appreciated that because it reminded me of like Paramore, like Haley Williams, or reminded me of like the alternative days. And I felt like she really stayed true to that. Okay. Well, speaking of punk and alternative rock, let's go with best rock song. So this is where things kind of got interesting. And this actually, I think I had said that I wanted this to win. Not because I agreed that it was the best one, but because I felt like they were going to win. But Not Strong Enough, Boy Genius, won Best Rock Song, and this was the Songwriters Award. So I felt like this was going to win because of the impact that Boy Genius would make on the culture, because it's an all boy band, quote unquote. And I feel like they are geniuses. They are very good at writing, and it's a superstar group. So I just felt like in music politics, it would only be natural for them to say, "Hey, let's make them shine a little bit more." Even if musically they're not as diverse as some of these other artists, like the Rolling Stones, who's been in the game forever. A Ballad of a Homeschool Girl, great song. Queens of the Stone Age and Foo Fighters, like those are all heavy hitters for best rock song. And it's like, it is kind of a shame that they didn't win, but I kind of felt it coming. So let's hear from you two about how you felt about this. Let's go with Mia.
I Boy Genius is just a good, like you said, they've been really out there and they're just a good group, so them winning this category does not surprise me. I do kind of wish Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl won, and especially after seeing that Flowers won, and since now it's kind of not that we know that the Grammy is also based off the message of the song, because we don't know that, but looking like that's what happened with Flowers, and then just kind of translating that into best rock song. I'm surprised that Ballad of a Homeschool Girl won or didn't win, because I mean the message is her being embarrassed, and her being embarrassed and her being loud and really like punk rock about it, and that's just I'm surprised.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Pia, what about you?
I am very passionate about this, and I feel like I have to clarify. I love Boy Genius. I think they are true, like, geniuses and great songwriters. Um, they aren't rock though.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just can't get over that. I really enjoyed Emotion Sickness and Rescued. I feel like the Foo Fighters should have gotten this one,
Hmm.
especially considering that this is a songwriters award for rock artists. So,
Right.
um, not to be blunt or disrespectful, but I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to nominate n a non-rock group, I guess,
Yeah.
in category and have them win. So, I don't know.
I do agree. And we're gonna get back to that in a couple of winners. But for now, we'll go to Best Rock Album. Um, and this is New Rock, Hard Rock, or Metal. The winner was This Is Why by Paramore, compared to Queens of the Stone Age, Metallica, Greta Van Fleet, and the Foo Fighters. Um, I I don't necessarily agree with this, and I love Paramore, but I just felt like this time around, I think Queens of the Stone Age, or maybe even Greta Van Fleet, should have won. But good for Paramore.
Yeah,
What about you, Mia? Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed Greta Van Fleet didn't win. Like I said, I like Paramore. I've always have liked Paramore, but Greta Van Fleet, they have their rock, but they twist it and they make it old, but also new and kind of, I don't know, indie. Their sound is just so unique, and I'm, I was honestly kind of surprised and disappointed that Greta Van Fleet didn't take home the Grammy for this category.
Yeah, same. Pia?
I agree with both of you. I really like Paramore. I don't feel like this is their best album. I really enjoyed Queens of the Stone Age, but I am surprised that Greta Van Fleet did not take home this award. I feel like they've had a pretty big year as well, and they're kind of trickling into the mainstream rock scene. So, very surprising.
Yeah. Um, so we'll jump into alternative, and that will be the rest of the rock section. But this is kind of where I felt like they should have switched some people around for rock and alternative. So for best alternative music performance, um, This Is Why by Paramore won yet again. So they won best rock album and then best alternative music performance. And then for best alternative music album, Boy Genius won for the record, compared to Gorillaz, Lana Del Rey, PJ Harvey, and Arctic Monkeys. So I felt that it was weird, or interesting that Paramore won Best Rock Album and then Best Alternative Performance. And then Boy Genius won Best Rock Song and Best Alternative Music Album. It just didn't make sense to me. So what are your thoughts, Pia?
Um, as confused as you are, because as I mentioned, I don't think that Boy Genius is rock, but they are alternative. I will put them there, and I do think that they deserve Best Alternative Music Album. But if you're nominated for that category, like the alternative category, I don't know. It That's where I would have put strong enough or not strong enough as well.
Hmm.
So it was just confusing. I'm not exactly sure how the panel votes on who gets nominated.
and maybe that's something we'll explore in an article down the road if people want to hear that. Or maybe someone wants to explain to us like how that works. But yeah, it just seemed uh, very back and forth. And they should have, I think, like changed those categories, especially for the rock song. What about you, Mia?
I think there needs to be more of a line drawn between what is rock and what is alternative because they're different, and it seems despite okay, they're different, but people still mix them up. And I feel like the Grammys, especially as we can see, has really fallen victim to that.
Hmm.
Um, so I think Paramore's alternative more. I mean, I think I'm surprised that Lana Del Rey didn't win either or didn't win either alternative category she was nominated for. She is more pop. She does have more of a pop past, but this album was definitely heavier. Just was a little bit. I don't really know how to describe it. It just wasn't as poppy and as maybe light as some of her other albums have been.
Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, I think Lana Del Rey should have won probably Best Music Performance. Um, and I'm gonna have to go with Lana Del Rey again for Best Alternative Music Album. I love the, I love. Did you know there's a tunnel under ocean? Did you know that there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard?
Yeah, I did too. It is heartbreaking that Lana didn't walk away with anything because she put so much work into that, and it like again, talking about backstories. I mean, if you're gonna give Miley Cyrus flowers for that song as a whole, the production, the behind the scenes, and the actual execution, I feel like Lana Del Rey deserved that way much more uh,
Mhm.
with the songs she wrote, because she's a songwriter through and through. And I felt like every album she's made has been very genuine. And then this was kind of a magnum opus of that. And whether or not, and she did it for herself, I feel. Um,
Mhm.
but so, I mean, I'm sure she's kind of like, whatever. It's just an award. Like she's just expressing her art. But yeah, it's heartbreaking.
That,
Mhm.
and also you mentioned music politics earlier, Eddie.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there was a leak in kind of the judges' ballots for the Grammy panel this year, and this, like, kind of the way they voted and what they said. And one of the judges specifically has said that they did not let Lana Del Rey win because they didn't respect her after her SNL performance. Uh,
Mm,
in It was for video games when she performed that, and everyone kind of laughed at her and thought it was an embarrassing performance. So
Mhm.
after that, she kind of lost respect within the higher ups, I guess. And
uh,
it's really disappointing to not only hear that, but also to see that they nominated her knowing that, but it's kind of like dangling it in her face, if that makes
Mhm.
sense, but taking it away from her. So, you
yeah.
know,
It also Yeah, it also kind of makes you wonder what if that's what it took for her to not win, what it took for these other artists to win.
Right.
right.
Like why did Flowers win? Like is there a deeper meaning behind that? Or why did Victoria Monet win? Not that she didn't deserve it, but why did she win? Like, hmm.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people involved in this process, like agents and producers, record labels. So it's just a matter of, like you said, like who's fighting for who or who's managing who and who's putting the brakes on people because of their behavior.
Mhm.
Which is really unfair because, I mean, we should just be looking at the music through and through. Um, Maybe that's not always the case because like if we look at someone like Kanye West, it's very debatable on like if we were just to look at his music. So um but at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, you look at some of the work that people have done, and if we judge them as a whole person rather than just their music, the art of the music, and how many people it touches,
Mhm.
um, then something might be wrong there.
Right.
So let's move on. And really quickly, I do want to know some of the uh, new Grammy Awards or the specific Grammy Awards. Tyla, she won Grammy Award for Best African Music Performance. I thought that was great. It's the first award for the Grammys, and it's nice to see recognition for African music, especially with Tyla because she had an amazing single.
I
Uh,
agree.
yeah, and then
Mhm.
Jay-Z won Dr. Dre's Global Impact Award. I thought that was well deserved, and it's really cool to see hip hop legends like that. For one, Dr. Dre, it's from where he was to where he is now, where he has an award in the Grammys dedicated to him, and dedicates it to one of the rappers that have has grown up with him in this area. New York meets California. So I thought that was beautiful and very symbolic, and a win for the Grammys.
Mhm.
And I like that he took that note to be active and like speak on something that meant more than the Grammys. Because you're getting an award for global impact. I feel like you should say something like that.
I agree.
So,
Mhm.
um, and then let's move on. We'll go straight into the rap album and rap single. Um, this was really pleasing to hear for me because it's who I wanted to win, but I didn't expect to win. Killer Mike won both Best Rap Album for Michael and Best Rap Performance for Scientists and Engineers, which features Future and Andre 3000. I thought that was great. Killer Mike, if you don't know who Killer Mike is, he's been with a group called the Dungeon Family, which spawned Outkast and CeeLo Green, a bunch of different artists in the Georgia area. And Killer Mike was always there. Like he's been always been with Outkast in that group. So to see him finally recognized and where he is now, again, it's just amazing to see. What did you guys think?
I will say I'm indifferent about the rap category, not because I don't care, but because it's not the music that I typically listen to. So I will accept anyone who wins. They've all worked right.
What about you, Mia?
I'm going to have to kind of go with Pia on this one. Um big I'm not a super big rap person, but I'm not a super big rap person, but it was a little bit surprising to see that best out to see that actually no, we're talking about rap song, right? Not album yet.
We're talking about both at the same time because Killer Mike won both categories. So yeah, either or.
Okay. It was kind of surprising to see that for best rap album, Her Lost and Utopia didn't win, just because there's such
Mm.
big names in rap, or and Drake has been in the game for so long. I mean, 21 Savage and Travis Scott has just um, super popular, but that was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. I thought Metro was going to win because of the collaborations, because of where he's at now. Um, I think it would have been surprising to see King's Disease by Nas win, but I love Nas, and I feel like all of his writing for the King's Disease series deserves that recognition. Utopia for Travis, I mean, I expected him to be in a running field. I expected that album to have more of a boost because Travis Scott is so popular, but I feel like it didn't make as much of an impact as his other albums for some reason. And I just mean that from like an advertising or from like a release kind of way. Um, and then Her Loss, yeah, I'm surprised that 21 Savage hasn't really walked away with anything because he's done like so many collaborations, so many albums. I think he was on Metro's album as well. So it's surprising in that sense. But again, I wanted Killer Mike to be recognized, so I'm happy with that. All
Yeah.
right,
Also, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Speaking of people who have been in the game for so long, Nicki Minaj was nominated for Best Rap Song,
Hmm.
and she's seen as like the modern day queen of rap. I am surprised she just has no Grammys in general. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that Barbie World is the best contender against all of these huge names, but I do think that she deserves some sort of recognition for it.
I agree with that. I am surprised to see not more women rap artists uh, in the running for the Grammys, and I mean probably a lot of that has to do with streams and and stuff like that. But yeah, someone like Nicki Minaj or one of my favorite rappers, Little Sims, from the UK. Um, they're really talented, and Nicki especially has changed the game. Like without Nicki, we wouldn't have Doja Cat or Cardi B or Ice Spice. Um, so to yeah, again, she's kind of an unsung hero when it comes to the awards in music. So yeah, I do agree with that, and I hope that there are more um, there's more of a diverse rap selection next year. So we will see. Okay, let's get into the thick of it. We are going to talk about album of the year and song of the year. Let's talk about song of the year. Song of the year is a Songwriters Award. Performer of the song is underlined. Okay, so I'm just reading this off of our script right now. But song of the year was special compared to record of the year. Pia, would you be able to tell us why that is?
Yeah, so record of the year kind of just a summary of the song that best describes the year that everyone has had, whereas song of the year is supposedly to look into the lyrics of the song and to really highlight the songwriters. So for song of the year, no surprise, What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish won.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that was, yeah, I feel like we all knew that that was going to win something in the top three.
Hmm.
And it deserves it. It does deserve it because it was very significant for the movie Barbie, and it was brilliantly done with the piano and with Billy's voice. Um, so I feel like it was the song for really was a song of the year. What about you, Mia?
Um, I'm not surprised. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like these other songs like Kill Bill's Good Vampire, A&W Antihero, but What Was I Made For is just it's just a good song. Like I don't know. It just has that emotional depth to it and that lyrical depth to it that none of these other songs really have. I felt at least.
Yes, I agree. Um, I would have, I think my runner up would have been Vampire, because like we were talking about earlier, it was very um like expansive, and it was Olivia saying like this is me, like this is my second album, this is what I'm coming out the gate with, and I'm gonna do it big. So I would have liked to see that, but yeah, give it up for Billy and Phineas. All right, so album of the year. I think this was the biggest surprise for us, and it was Midnights by Taylor Swift compared to Guts, compared to SOS by SZA, um, Boy Genius. Yeah, I think that was, I mean, obviously Taylor is gonna win something, but did not expect it to win. What about you two?
Hmm. It's kind of funny because some of my favorite Taylor Swift albums do not get recognized by the Grammys at all, and the ones that I enjoy but don't think are the best always win the most awards, so I just thought that was kind of funny. I will say I as much as I love Taylor, I don't think that this was the album of the year. Yes, she has had the biggest year out of everyone in this category, but I don't know. It came as a surprise to me. And I feel like Lana Del Rey should have gotten this award as much as that wasn't going to happen. Um, but same with the leaks of the Grammy panels. They said that out of everyone in this category, there wasn't anyone that they could see or they felt actually deserved it, but they gave it to Taylor because of the year she's had. So
Hmm.
I just thought that was interesting, the way they voted for it as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that. Mia, what about you?
I slightly disappointed, not really surprised. Did you know there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard? That
Yeah.
album, I love that album. Like I will talk about that album until I die. I love that album. Um, but I mean, like we've all been saying, Midnight's was she's had a huge year. I mean, Taylor Swift is the top global artist right now and now has 5 Grammys and is the only person to ever do that before. And before
Hmm.
this, it was 4, and she was again the only person to ever do that before.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not surprised that this won. I do like this album. I think she strayed away from her original sound, and I think it did work for her. Um, but did you know there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard? Had that depth and lyricism to it that I feel like. I mean, don't get me wrong, Taylor Swift's a great songwriter. I'm not saying that at all. But did you know there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard? Just had Lana Del Rey change it up her sound too, and it worked with her here, or it worked for her here, and the lyrics were felt a little bit deeper and more real and more bone hitting. So yeah,
Yeah.
not surprising, disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah. I do agree with that. Pia, did you have something to add?
No, I just chuckled, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Um, so yeah, I do want to talk more about that. But let's recap for a bit. We went over all of the categories for the most part. Um, let's go with 3 questions, and kind of wrap it up here. So first question I have for you, give me the biggest disappointment of the night. Pia.
Oh man. Flowers by Miley Cyrus winning Record of the Year.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
also not a disappointment, but just surprise. Midnights by Taylor Swift winning Album of the Year.
Okay. So album and record of the year were surprises, semi disappointment. Mia, what about you?
I was surprised in the alternative for the alternative music performance that A&W didn't get it.
Hmm.
I was a little bit disappointed in that. Paramore is good, but A&W, I mean, that song is just I'm surprised. I was I was disappointed, surprised and disappointed, mainly disappointed.
Yeah, I think it's so weird. I feel like Lana Del Rey is so iconic, but she's always been like in the shadow, like, and
Mhm.
that's just so frustrating to me. Even
Mhm.
just the title A&W is so iconic, but yeah. Um, okay, yeah, I would say biggest disappointment for me was Flowers, the record of the year. Um, it's just we've talked about it enough, and I've heard that song enough to be like, I wish it would have been something else. But I digress. All right, biggest win of the night. Mia.
I'm gonna say "What Was I Made For" by Billie Eilish,
Okay.
winning song of the year.
Yeah, that is a good win. Pia, what about you?
Hmm. I guess best alternative music album, I would say that was a really good choice. The record by Boy Genius is a great record, and I feel like it definitely needed to be put in the spotlight. I feel like that's the perfect category for it too. And yeah,
Yeah, I do agree with that. As much as I thought that the other bands were worthy of that title, it did make sense to have Boy Genius do somewhere. And I didn't think it was going to be album of the year compared to everyone else, so it had to be something in that realm.
right.
Um, my biggest win was Killer Mike winning album of the year. I thought that was great. I thought it was crazy that he got arrested right after winning. um, over a misdemeanor too. It was like because of security guard. But yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for hip hop. Um, yeah. So those are our, we covered the disappointments, covered the wins, covered all of the winners on the Grammys. So now I kind of want to just recap all of that and ask one big question. Um, we we had a lot of winners that it was like almost a like an eye roll that they won because like Flowers. It's like, of course, yeah. Or Midnights by Taylor Swift. Yeah. Wow. Um, but it doesn't really showcase, I guess, the true art of music when we give awards to people that, I mean, yeah, maybe they deserve it, but it's like we expect them to win it. It's like, why are we watching the show then? So, so what does that mean for the state of music? Like to you, I guess, like I'll ask your opinion. Like, what does that mean on the State of Music Awards for you and the state of music in general, Pia?
After seeing, well, obviously not confirmed, but seeing some of the leaks of what the panel has said about some of the nominees has been a big disappointment, almost made me just lose respect for the Grammys.
Hmm.
Um, it used to be such, a big night for music for people to be celebrated and people to just have fun, even having the honor of being invited. But now it's almost, I don't know, say like Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish. I love both of them, but they're Grammy sweethearts. We know that like they are the safe option,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that they don't put out good music, but you know, it's kind of just disappointing that you're able to say, yeah, well, of course they're gonna go home with something. Like it should still have that surprise, and it almost takes away like the recognition aspect of the Grammys
Hmm.
to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with that. Mia?
I feel like their name, like the artists' names and reputations are definitely going farther than their music is. Um, like, I mean, you see Taylor Swift being nominated, you see Billie Eilish being nominated. Great artists, great music they put out. Um, but it's still like, okay, like they're gonna dominate. Like I don't need to see anybody else we know. So we know they're gonna win. So it's just more. I think at this point, names go further than the actual music does because I feel like, which I love Taylor Swift, she's a great artist, but I feel like she could honestly put out anything and she would get some nominations. It would go on a radio show somewhere. There would be some big deal made out of it. Whether
Yeah.
that was good, bad, and that was especially seen too because I think in Canada at one time she accidentally uploaded like a 7-second clip of like TV static and it became like number one, and I was like,
Right.
oh, how did
I
what?
remember that.
Yeah. So, I feel like names and reputation and just definitely goes past the actual music. And at this point, we're not saying that there's favorite picking, but there's definitely something kind of funky going on with that.
Right. Yeah, I do agree. I hear both of you as far as just behind the scenes, there's a lot more at work than what we see with just what we hear, I should say. But so it kind of makes me want to look more into the connections and pay attention to um, everything behind the artists, from the producers. Like with Taylor Swift, I mean, like it wasn't Taylor Swift that just won. It was uh, producers Soundwave and Jack Antonoff that won. It and then with Flowers, I mean, maybe there is really more to the story. Like just like when, them the Grammys holding Lana from winning. So
Mhm.
so it does make me want to pay more attention to the music production in general, but probably less to the awards. I can't say that I'm really looking forward to watching the Grammy Awards next year, but I will go and check the performances and the award winners afterwards and maybe roll my eyes. I don't know. But so
Mhm.
yeah, um, that's a recap. Um, thank you so much, Pia and Mia, for being here. Any last words from both of you?
No, that was everything from me. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. All right. Mia?
Not a whole lot. I mean, justice for Lana Del Rey, but that's I just hit my hand on the desk so hard. Anyway, no, that was all. That's all for me. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
All right. This is the Talon with the Talon Talks. Eddie, Mia, and Pia out.